looking at 10.2, I can draw angles in standard position for both degree and radian measure. So the first thing we want to look at is what is standard position of an angle. And the standard position of an angle is, so an angle is in standard position when its vertex is at the origin and what we call the initial side lies on the positive x-axis. So again, our vertex is at the origin, right? So there's our vertex. And our initial side is on the x-axis. So this is what we call our initial side here. So that makes up one side of our angle. The other thing we have is the terminal side, right? And that really tells you how far, right? That's how far my angle goes. It's the space, the rotation from here to there. Okay, so it ends at its terminal side. So the terminal side really is like when we're drawing an angle, what we're trying to draw. One other thing is you can have positive angles, you can also have negative angles. If your angle is positive, then when you draw your lovely drawing, it's going to go around this way. All right, so it starts here and goes counterclockwise. If it's negative, drawing, it starts this way and go, right, it start here and go this way. Okay, so it goes clockwise. So negative angles just go around the circle the opposite way than positive angles. All right, so my first example, I want to draw 140 degrees and a 500 degree angle on the same graph. So for my 140 degree angle, here's where I start, right? This would be 0. That's my initial side. And I want to see where the 140 degrees, where that terminal side would be. So how I do it for degrees is I go, all right, this is 90, right? The next one's another 90, 180. And now that's above 140. So I know my angle has to be somewhere between 90 and 180. How far past it is 90? Well, it's 50 degrees past 90, so it's going to be a little more than halfway, because if this is 90 degrees, 50 is more than halfway. Okay, so that is my 140 degree angle. If I do a 500 degree angle, same thing, starts at 0. This is 90, 180, nowhere near 500 yet. Plus another 90 is 270. Plus another 90 is 360. Still not there. Plus another 90 is 450. Plus another 90 is 540. Right? And now we're past it. Okay? So again, it's going to be between 450 and 540. How far is 500 past 450? Well, 450 plus 50. So it's also 50 degrees past. So when I draw this angle though, I went all the way around and then over again. So you need to show if you did multiple loops around your circle, you need to show those multiple loops in your picture. So what we notice is these end at the same place. So what we say is 140 degrees and 500 degrees are coterminal angles. Not period, because they have the same terminal side. Okay, so both of them end here, exactly the same, even though they're different measurements, okay? And that makes sense because they're 360 degrees apart, right? 500 minus 140 is 360. They're a full circle apart, so they're going to land on the same place. Because if I go full circle, I'm back in the same place. So how do we find coterminal angles, right? It's found by adding or subtracting either one 360. Again, that's a full circle. Okay, so found by adding or subtracting 360, which is just a full circle. And I can do that. I could find more if I add 360 again, right? That's 860, right? That would also be, I could subtract it and find a negative. That would still be the same place. So I could add it an infinite number of times and find an infinite number of coterminal angles. Alright, so let's look at some other examples. For these, I want to draw an angle with a given measure in standard position, then find one positive and one negative coterminal angle. So, if I start at here, that's 0 degrees. If I go up to here, it'd be 90, which I'm already past 65 degrees. So I want to be between 0 and 90, closer to 90, so I'll just put it here. There's my angle. This is in quadrant 1. That's good things to know too, which quadrant your angle is in. Then I want to find one positive and one negative coterminal angle. To find my positive coterminal angle, I'm going to add 360. And I get 425 degrees. To find my negative coterminal angle, I'm going to subtract 360. And I get negative 295 degrees. Okay, and it's as simple as that. So especially with degrees, which we understand well, all these drawing of angles shouldn't be too bad, too difficult. Let's look at our next one, 300 degrees. So again, we start on our x-axis at 0. We go to 90, not there yet, 180, not there yet, 270, not there yet, and 360, okay, we're past. So now is 300 closer to 270 or 360? 300 is closer to 270, so I'm going to draw that terminal side a little closer to that 270. Again, it's kind of approximating there. And then circle it around. Okay, because it's positive, so it is going in that positive direction. Finding my positive and negative coterminal angles. I have 300 plus 360 for my positive. That's going to be 660 degrees. And then 300 minus 360, it's going to be negative 60 degrees. Wonderful. All right, next one. For negative 120 degrees. So now I'm going in the negative direction. So the only thing is, instead of going this way, we go down first. So 0, so that means this is what we call negative 90. Right, so we just go in the opposite direction. And this is negative 180. Okay. And we're past it, right? So I'm checking, is this, right, this number is between 90 and 180. Which one's it closer to? It's closer to 90. So I'll put my line a little bit closer to 90. And it's negative, so it's going around this way. Finding our negative 120 plus 360 is 240 degrees. And then negative 120 minus 360 is negative 480 degrees. Value number 4, then we have negative 450 degrees. So same thing, I'm going to start by drawing my quadrants. So again, we're going negative, so I'll start at 0, and then it's negative 90, then I have to keep going. This is negative 180, again, they're always 90 apart. 180 plus 90 is negative 270. Plus 90 is negative 360. We're not there yet. Plus 90 is negative 450. Oh, we made it. So I have to go all around. Negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, 360, 450. So again, it circles, takes all the way around. And then for this one, when I'm finding my coterminal angles, if I do negative 450 plus 360, I get negative 90. This is a negative angle, right? Usually we have that positive when we add and negative when we subtract. But this was so negative that when I added 360, I still was negative. So for my positive coterminal angle, I'm just going to add another 360. So you can think of it as negative 450 plus 360. So I go around the circle once, then I have to go around the circle again. Or you could take this negative 90 and add 360. And when you add those up, degrees, you get 270 degrees. And that's a positive one. Okay, so when you are adding and subtracting, be careful that you actually get a positive or a negative angle if it's asking specifically for that. All right, looking at the next page, all right, all of those that we did were in degrees. Now we're going to be looking at our radians. So for radians, we have a few steps. Step 1, you split the top half of your graph. Split, it looks weird. Top half into sections equal to your denominator. Two, same sections on the bottom. Okay, so then you basically just duplicate what you did on the top half on the bottom half. And then 3, count number of sections equal to numerator. Okay? So your denominator tells you what the sections are, and your numerator tells you how many sections you actually have to go. So if we look at A, really what this tells us, right, with radians, I know this is 0 and this is pi. Remember, 180 degrees equals pi. Half of your circle is pi. It's really helpful if you have different colors for this, or like a highlighter or something. So I want to split it into 6 sections. Okay? I want to split the top half of my graph into 6 sections. So if it's an even number, I like to make that line half. So this needs to be 3 and this needs to be 3, right? So I just make some nice spokes. All right, so now if we count them, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections up top. Now I need the same sections on the bottom. So again, I can draw the half, and then 2 spokes in here, and 2 spokes in here. And then same thing, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. So this is my 0. Now I want to go 5 of those sections. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That spoke is where that 5 pi over 6 is going to be. Now for my coterminal angles, I don't want to add 360 because that's degrees. I want to add 2 pi. Again, in radians, 2 pi is a full circle. The easiest way is just in your calculator, do 5, 6. Plus 2, right? Ignore the pi's. You get 17 sixths, so that's 17 pi over 6. Same thing with minus 5 pi over 6 minus 2 pi. We can do 5 divided by 6 minus 2. And we get negative 7 pi over 6. So that's my positive coterminal and my negative coterminal. Okay. Looking at B, I'll make it a little small. No, I didn't really get made much smaller. That's okay. Okay, so again, now I have a 3 here. So I'm going to look at the top half of my graph. Be very careful because if I split it into 3 sections, this is not part of those, like it's not one of the lines you can stop at. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3 sections. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So 3 sections requires 2 lines. 6 sections required 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. It's always my 1 less line. Now I want to go 8 of them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it gets all the way over here into quadrant 2. So to get a positive coterminal angle, I could add 8/3 plus 2 is plus 2 pi is 14 pi over 3. To the negative, well, if I do that, I get 2 pi over 3. This number is not negative. I have to subtract again. And then I get negative 4 pi over 3. That's a pi. Okay, so again, that's part of making sure your answer really is positive or really is negative. All right. Let's look at negative 3 pi over 2. So again, our denominator is 2, so looking at the top half of my graph, I'm going to split it in half. That's easy, it's just this line going up here. So doing the same thing on the bottom, I have my line going down. And now I want to go negative 3 of them. So again, instead of going up, I need to go down. So I go 1, 2, 3 sections. And that line is, so I should have these here. Alright, and so that is my angle for negative 3 pi over 2. Coterminal, negative 3 pi over 2 plus 2 pi. Again, you can use your calculator. That is positive pi over 2 or 1 pi over 2. Negative 3 pi over 2 minus 2 pi. And you get negative 7 pi over 2. The bottom three we're going to do in class for a few more examples of these because I know the radian ones are more difficult than the degrees, so we'll do a few examples in class together. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day.